Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Three Men of Football podcast. All right, lads, how we doing?
Simon, Thomas, how are we? Good. I'm really good. Thomas, are you okay? I'm worried about you, mate, to be honest with you.
No, I'm not all right, Darren. And if you carry on smirking and cracking jokes, I'm going to break lockdown and come round and burst you.
Someone said people have been sending outside scenes for Thomas for the last half an hour.
Yeah, I don't want you to let your emotions take over this podcast, Thomas. Try and keep it together. Be professional for once, and just enjoy it for what it is.
You're dead, Darren.
Yeah, absolutely. You've gone too far there.
Listen, even Rachel's been worried about me. She made me chicken fried rice.
Oof,
she was panicking.
Sorry, Thomas. I can only apologise. I didn't realise how serious it was.
Yeah, when Rachel cooks me tea, definitely.
So we're gonna start this a little bit differently because we wanted to get straight into the topic of the day and not bury the lead. And Liverpool have literally just been beaten 4-1 by City, and me and Thomas are equally devastated. And Darren was sending texts out, giving us crap right the way through the game. Pretends to be a nice guy. I don't know whether he qualifies anymore. Tom, what do you reckon?
No, I'm going to burst him. When I see you, Darren, you're dead.
Yeah, I am not doing any more podcasts, lads. Yeah, this is the final one. Yeah, I'm done.
So, what do you reckon, Thomas?
It was awful, wasn't it? It was absolutely terrible. The game started poorly. It was just at pedestrian pace. They had the penalty, and I thought, right, that might kick us into gear. When they missed, it didn't, and then they scored just as we started to move the ball a bit quicker. And then I didn't think it was a penalty on Salah for the equaliser, but second half, oh my God. I mean, where'd you start? Trent, absolutely horrific for their second goal. People go past him far too easy. Fabinho, after giving the penalty away, didn't want to put a challenge in, so that was too easy. Alisson made a great save, but then our players ran past the ball. It was a tap-in. And then I was expecting, right, there's going to be fire, blood and thunder. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at them to get back in the game. And it was pedestrian. It was awful. And then Alisson, God, I know we've raved about him on this podcast, and you know he's still up there with best goalies in the world, but he had an absolute shocker. And then the heads have gone. He should have got the last one as well. I think he should have stood up and caught Foden's or punched it away. He was just poor all round, and it's gone to show that the issue with not having proper centre halves has really affected us. And I don't know whether that's helped with the drop in form, but we were just really poor today. Really poor results.
Do you not think Trent was at fault for the first as well?
Yeah.
Because he gave the ball away, and then he let him go past him. Let Sterling go past him, and then Fabinho got caught, obviously with the back foot.
Yeah, it was just poor all round. He defensively, we've talked about him defensively for a number of times on here. Defensively, he's not very good. We know that, but because of the quality that he's got going forward, you can sometimes forgive him for his poor defending at times. But today, he's not getting forward well, and he's not defending well. You made a great call halfway through the game when you sent a message out saying, I think, would it like Milner to come on and play at right back rather than Trent today. He wouldn't have got beat as easy. But City didn't even have to play that well to beat us as well. That was the scary thing.
Yeah, I think if he'd have brought Milner on and put him at right back, then you stop some of the issues that we were having, because we've talked about it loads on here. Trent getting caught in over his shoulder into the corner. I don't think that was what was happening today. But he naturally tucks in because he wants to get involved in the game until we're attacking. Then he goes wide. But when he tucks in, there's loads of space down the outside. And all that was happening was Sterling was just facing him up every time. And every time he faced him up, Trent didn't appear to know what to do. And as it went on, it got worse and worse. He did it a couple of times later in the game where he just let him go past him. And you're thinking, well, surely that is basics of defending. Going forward, he looks amazing. And he looked better today at times in the first half going forward. But then second half, too many times he was faced up and just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think I've just a couple of points there I want to try and bring in. Trent, the issue there is, do your homework about who you're facing and what they want to do. Sterling is always wanting to go inside and get it on his right foot. So you've got to angle your body correctly where you force him to be uncomfortable. And Trent was too square too many times. You brought that up. And what happens then is you can't turn as quick as someone who's going when you're square on. But that's basics. That's like what you coach at under 12s to under 14s. That's basic defending. But over the last 3 years, he hasn't really had to do that much of that because of the way Liverpool have played. But it should be getting picked up by the coaches a lot more than it actually is. And it happens far too often for me. The penalty decision that Salah, I agree. I think he overacted it. However, the guy did drag his arm, and if you don't go down, you don't get it. And this comes back down to referees and the rules. It was a penalty, but he's had to go down and make it almost simulate the dive to get the penalty, to make sure he's getting it. And that's what's wrong in the game. It was a pull, but that defending, I thought he was trying to be too clever and too overconfident in that particular, when the ball got played down. Is it Garcia?
Yeah. Diaz.
Sorry, Diaz. He should have just cleared the ball. Getting too smart, getting too confident.
He did, but I totally agree. I think it was definitely a penalty, but I think Souness was spot on when he said, basically, it's just the way the game is going now. Players, everyone's diving. He said, for me, it was definitely a penalty. He pulled his right arm, but he dived. Like he pulls his arm and then he throws both of his arms up in the air.
Yeah.
And then throws himself to the ground. I mean, that's not the way the game should be played, is it?
But it's almost like because he knows he's never going to get it. He's almost won at the referee's decision there. It was a penalty, but he's won the referee's decision more than if he'd just stood there and gone, "What's that, ref?"
Which is funny.
I was delighted with the decision, but I didn't think it was a penalty.
Yeah.
I think also watching the game today, Liverpool missed massively a driver in the middle of the park. Someone who's going to drive the game forward. You know, Henderson, for example, he'll drive all day and run all day for Liverpool. When you're playing those two in the midfield, and they're both good quality players, you do miss something else in there. I would argue that Thiago is class on the ball, got no legs, so we need someone with him. Well, now them sitting back, and he's not the driver. You need a driver in there. You need someone who's going to drive the game.
That made a difference in the stage of the game where we actually got into it, didn't it? So when we got into the game, after about 15 minutes where we started really slow, and then we had 30 minutes where I think we were on top and we were starting to drive the game forward and getting chances. The reason we did that was because Wijnaldum kept going forward. Yeah. And in fact, they were talking about it in commentary for weeks now. Liverpool have played more passes backwards and sideways than they played forwards. That's not the way Liverpool have won the league. Liverpool won the league because they were really aggressive in pushing as a team and pushing really quickly. There was a time today where we were 4-on-4, 4 Liverpool players onto 4 City players, and we ended up going back to our defenders, our centre-halves. I mean, that's crazy.
So, just on that, can you remember when the City goalkeepers had to really make a save?
No, because we missed the chances.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Apart from saying it's like that didn't happen for the last year, 2 years, 3 years. The keeper has not had to really make a save. And that's not going to how you're going to.
So he made a couple. Then he made one from Firmino, which was a decent effort, but he should save it. He made another one down to his left as well. But we had chances. We just didn't get them on target. It wasn't that we weren't creating chances. During that 30-minute period, we were well on top. And if we'd have got a goal at that stage, then maybe it changes the game. But I just don't think we're not at the races. We're not. Our forwards are not getting as much of the ball as they were in the past. They're not doing as well with it. Salah looked a little bit lost again. Was just going around in circles and wasn't really involved in the game. Mane getting back into it is dangerous all the time. Firmino blows hot and cold at times. Like his passing's shocking at times, and then other times he's doing amazing things. But just no consistency at all out of them. And then when you're weak in the midfield and you're playing midfielders at centre-half and your fullbacks, who, by the way, were the main driver behind us winning the league last year, are not really doing what they were doing in the past, you're not going to win games like that.
I just want to bring up how Pep changed it just after half-time. He tried to play one of his midfield players further forward to play almost like a 2 up front. And I think that caused a few little issues for Liverpool to understand that. I also think Phil Foden actually had a great second half. Yeah. I thought he was getting on the ball more. He's got a lovely left foot. the way he dipped and moved that ball to get that goal. You know, people are saying possibly Alisson could have done better. The speed of that in the one movement was so fluent. The reactions, maybe his hands were too low and he could have had them up high quick. I don't know, but I just think what a strike that was. We should be looking at what Phil. But again, it comes back to Robinson. He's left-footed. Don't show him inside.
Yeah,
Don't
that
show him
didn't
inside. Show him
really
out
make
wide.
any sense that he let him inside. But I also think that, you know, 9 times out of 10, Alisson's saving that.
Yeah, I agree.
So it wasn't great. I mean, and he dad obviously at that stage his confidence is gone. He's given 2 goals away basically. Although say we've given 2 goals away, they still had to work hard to get those 2 goals.
Yeah.
And our defense didn't do what we should be doing. And again, that might be confidence in centre halves as well, because you know he gave the ball away twice, and then they just broke and away they go and score the goals. I mean, the one in the corner was shocking. I don't know who he was passing to.
Yeah, but also City were missing like De Bruyne, who's been outstanding for them this year, and it shows you the depth they have in the squad, almost compared to the depth Liverpool have in their squad.
Yeah, I think it was Gary Neville said something about Liverpool. This Liverpool side, pretty much everyone that was playing minus Thiago, probably they've been together and challenging at the very top for the Champions League, for the league. For the last 3.5 years, and they may have just blown themselves out of the intensity that they play at, how hard they work, and the performances that they've been putting in. He said they might just be going through a blip where, you know, mentally, physically they're exhausted, or they need to just freshen things up by bringing a couple of new players in that are, you know, starters rather than squad builders. I don't know, but we haven't been at the races, to be honest, pretty much all year, have we? If we're being honest.
No,
we've
but
had a few,
you know,
we've had a few decent games, but we haven't been playing well.
But we've said it before. The end of last season, we were not great. We'd done so well for so long, and then when we come back after the lockdown, we were not great. We started this season really off. Then we've done a little bit better. Everyone else around us has been falling away and had their blips. We're having ours. The problem is our blip is going longer. We've now lost 3 games in a row at home for the first time in something like 50 years.
Yeah.
That's a situation that we didn't think we'd be in, even with the players we've got. And I was watching a clip of, there's a new Robbie Fowler podcast coming out tomorrow with Kenny Dalglish, and they were talking about this, you know, this stage that we're going through and this blip that we're going through. And he was saying, you know, the reality is that they're not used to losing. They've lost 3 games in a row. They haven't really been at the races. But when you take 3 players out at centre half, it's very different than losing players, you know, one at centre half, one at centre mid, one at centre forward, like City have, because De Bruyne's out, and they've got a centre half, I can't remember which one is injured, and then they've got Aguero out as well. But you can take a little bit more pressure when it's one in the midfield, the attack, and at the back.
Yeah.
But when it's 3 centre halves, that's where it really hits. And centre half was an area where Liverpool were not that great as well, and was certainly not that strong until Verge come in. Verge made everyone else look good. You take Verge out the side, and you take in out another couple of key players, and it's really hard to replace them. We've replaced them with people like Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, who are decent players, but certainly not at the level we need them to. Not at the level of the City players, the depth that they've got to bring in a centre half.
Yeah, and we also haven't got £500 million to spend on defenders, which you know they're going to get it right in the end, aren't they?
Yeah, but I do think, you know, so Liverpool only just signed 2 young centre halves, or whatever, 2 centre halves now. If they knew that was the problem, why didn't they do that in January the 1st?
Well, I don't think the club's got the money to spend due to COVID. I just don't think they've got the money.
No, like, but why didn't they go and get these 2 lads in January the 1st if they were available?
Might not have been available, mate. I mean, surely, you know.
But what I'm saying is that
we're second guessing what's going on at the club. They've made signings. Generally, if you look at what happens with the signings in January, it takes longer because clubs know that they can hold on because clubs are desperate to get them, and then it ends up happening late in the window. So I think they've probably been trying since the start of the transfer window.
Probably
it's
before.
Taking longer, maybe. Yeah. But I mean, the 2 players that they've bought, that was the other thing I've seen on Twitter before. The question is, why are we bringing in 2 centre halves and then not playing them? Now, he hasn't had a lot of time with them, so maybe that's a mitigating circumstance. But it does seem a little bit odd that neither of them were actually even in the squad.
I would have been tempted today to play one of them and put Jordan Henderson in midfield.
Yeah.
I would have been tempted to do that today, simply because I think you've got Jordan Henderson's drive and his legs in midfield. Now, centre half, I personally think the centre half, it has that defender mentality, if that makes sense. They generally get in the right place, and the position's generally a bit better. You can get away with playing midfield player there for a short period of time. I almost think it's gone on too long now, and he should have made he should have sorted it out sooner rather than leaving it too late.
Although do we think that was our problem today, or do we think actually our problem was our fullbacks? Because at the back, I actually think Jordan Henderson and Fabinho, other than Fabinho's ridiculous, trip on Sterling, I thought they looked all right, and they've looked really good. In fact, I've said it before, the area of our team that has looked more solid in recent weeks has been our centre-halves, which is weird because they're both centre midfielders. But our fullbacks were not at the races. And I don't think with Robbo, he was as bad as Trent. I thought he was in the game a little bit more and was doing more. But I think the role that they play is all on confidence. Firstly, they're relatively young. I think Robbo's a little bit different because he just works hard, and sometimes it works for him, sometimes it doesn't. But Trent is playing on confidence. He hasn't got any. And that's clear because the second half, he was absolutely useless. I mean, not only useless, he created problems for us because he can't defend. And you can't have a right back who can't defend. That's not going to work for you if you want to win championships. You might get away with one. You're not going to get away with multiple. And we know that the most difficult thing in the game is to retain a trophy. Teams just don't do it. The best teams in the world don't do it. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to get away with the same mistakes over and over again, like we have at times this year. Teams are going to find it out. And I think we just got our fullback, or certainly our right back, got found out today.
But as well, though, sometimes when you're going through a bad spell, I mean, you almost have to go back to basics to get your confidence back up and do the right things and make it simple. That's all you need to do. It's because when you try too hard, you're making passes you shouldn't really make. You're trying to make tackles you shouldn't be making because your whole body's not in the right position. Either Trent needs to do one or two things now. Go back to basics and just be a right back and not try and push too far up, but that negates what he's good at.
Yeah.
Or Klopp needs to just take him out for a game or two and just say, look, get your head together. Don't worry about it. These things happen in football. He's not really had a bad spell, Trent. This is his bad spell. You would argue he's not come across this before. I also think, the club and the management need to look and say, okay, and they probably do. We're second guessing what the clubs are doing and all this, but they need to. There's so many players off the game, like not performing at the top level. I'm not saying like Trent's having a really tough time at the moment, but like Mane, I'm looking, didn't do much today. Salah didn't do much today. Firmino didn't do much today. You look around the whole team, there's no one there who you think they're going to do something to inspire us at the moment. There's too many players off the game. You can get away with one or two each time you play. You can't get away with 6 or 7 or 8, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that I think they should do is I think he needs to look at a different formation. So I would definitely look at moving Trent into midfield, but I wouldn't look to move him into centre. But he's not a central midfielder. He's a right-sided midfielder if he's anything, because he's great going forward, great on the ball, getting the ball into the box, just useless at defending. And I mean, he's really poor at defending at times as well. I mean, obviously he's a talented footballer, so he gets away with a lot, and he's good on the ball, and he's in the game all day, every day. So to a certain extent, I'm saying he's useless at defending, thinking about how comparing him to the best in the world. But he's more a midfielder. He's more a right-sided midfielder than a right back. And I think right now we need a right back and we need a left back. We need a back four that, while we've not got really strong centre halves or not got really confident centre halves, we can create a compact four. We're not doing that at the moment. And then when we do create a compact four, teams just know how to get at us, and they're getting the ball down and they're going at people like Trent, and he's getting caught out.
Well, I think with regards to what's going to happen, I think we've got Leicester next, haven't we? Next weekend, is it? So we've got a full week to work with these two new centre halves. I wouldn't be surprised if one or both of them come in for the next game and we move Fabinho and Henderson back into midfield, and then it's a choice of Thiago, Curtis Jones, or Wijnaldum in there with as a 3, which gives us more options and more drive to to push us forward. I wonder whether that's the spark that we need to kick us on and get us playing. Leicester are going to sit deep, aren't they, against us and try and hit us on the break.
Yeah.
But he has got that week to work with these new players, and whether, because he doesn't like to throw new players in when he signs new players. He likes to learn our systems and learn the way we like to play, and he holds them back. But I just think, as it stands, we can't hold them back. We need to throw them in and see whether they sink or swim, and take it from there. That's my thoughts on it for next week, anyway.
I think it's going to be an interesting summer for Liverpool. I think it'll be an interesting summer whether what they do in the transfer market, if anything, are they going to back the manager again, put some funds his way and say, okay, we need to start looking at not rebuilding the whole side, but certainly look at key positions and see if we can bring fresher things up. Are they going to? Is Salah finally going to leave and go to Real Madrid? That's what the talk's been for the last maybe 18 months. And if that happens, does that mean he's going to change something in the way he plays, or is it going to keep playing the way he's playing? And that's just his philosophy in football.
But I think you've also got to keep in mind that Matip is made of glass. So unfortunately, he's always going to get injured. But getting Verge and Gomez back will be like getting two new players, and two were certainly a world-class player and a decent youngster. So I think that will make a big difference. I think Jota coming back will make a big difference as well. I think you might be surprised. I don't think they'll throw a load of money at Liverpool in the summer. I think they might make a marquee signing, but we're not talking about hundreds of million getting spent here. The money doesn't exist. COVID has changed the world for the average club, and you just can't spend that money. Financial fair play will come into play as well, because you can only spend what you can spend associated with what you're bringing in. Well, you're not bringing as much in these days, so I think it will change. Now, what we've got to do is we've got to be better at finding youngsters and bringing them into the team and getting them into the first team. That's where we struggle. And then the players where we have brought them in, people like Reece Williams, he looks like a decent footballer, but he's too slow to be a centre-half in the Premier League right now. So either they need to develop his pace and he needs to get that right before they put him in, or he needs to step down a level, because he's just not quite what we need.
Do you not think, I mean, in the past, Liverpool have been very good. I mean, I'm talking about the 80s here and early 90s of going to get players, identifying them from like the lower leagues. And only the reason I say that is because obviously Villa have benefited from one or two players, like Matty Cash, who's been outstanding this year, he was a right midfield player and he's been converted to a right back. But his defensive duties are superb and he gets his foot in and he makes tackles. I don't think I've seen Trent make a tackle this year. I don't think I've, like in terms of like you're thinking, yeah, that's good, solid defending that. But would Liverpool not look at one or two in the Championship? I know they've got this lad. Is it from Preston? He just signed or someone.
Yeah, Davis. I'll give you a quick comment and then I'll let Thomas pick that one up. But unfortunately, none of the big teams do that anymore. It doesn't happen. It's a pipe dream for us, isn't it? It's not. That's the way football used to work. It doesn't work like that anymore.
But I just think it's sad because I just think, you look at, Robinson, you got from Hull. Yeah. Was it from Hull? Who do you know?
He played a year in the Premier League and didn't look out of place. That's the difference.
But that was still a massive gamble, though, to go and get him.
Not for the money that they paid for him. They sold Stewart for 8 million quid and got 8 million quid and paid 8 million quid for Robinson.
But they saw something in him, and he didn't go right in the team. They developed him a little bit more before they pushed him in. Yeah. But I just think, look. Sometimes it's like bringing top names. It doesn't always work, and I think sometimes you've got to look at your system. You're
like the Mary Poppins of football, Daz. You're thinking about the good old days. It doesn't exist. We'd love that, wouldn't we? Imagine us being able to go down into the first and second division, finding a starlet, finding someone who's brilliant, and them coming in and be, like Vardy and being brilliant. Hang on a minute, Daz. Being brilliant in the Premier League. It doesn't happen. It's so few and far between now that Liverpool will not solve their problem, because the problem is that football now is about what you do now and what you did yesterday. It's not what you do in 3, 4, 5 years time, and it's not what you did 5 years ago. And I think that's the problem. It's an immediate, that culture has changed entirely. It looks very different.
These two centre halves, where are they from?
Davis is from Preston.
Championship.
Yeah, and the other guy's from
Schalke,
yeah.
Germany.
So have they bought Davis for now or for the future? What have they done? What's the issue?
Fill a gap now, surely.
I think they've got him for the £500,000 up front and a £2 million deal overall. Yeah, but they bought him because it was a stopgap and he was the best of a bad bunch because they couldn't get anyone in.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
And
I mean, that might be why he was signed late as well. By the way, Dan is trying his best to wind it up here, Thomas. So don't bite.
I know he is, yeah. I'm not biting.
No, I'm not. No, I genuinely
you
am
are.
not.
You are under your breath saying
I'm genuinely not. I'm looking.
Come on, Daz.
Yeah, best of bad bunch. I think that's harsh on the lad. He's not played yet.
It's not. But the point that's being made is you've just made the point before that he was signed with what was it, like 3 hours left in the transfer window. That was because they struggled to get anyone else. And then eventually they brought in the guy from Schalke. Apparently they were going for the other centre-half at Schalke and he ended up with this fella. So I think both of them are, you never know what's going to happen. You know, if they start getting games in the Premier League, which again, the point of making is that that's not normal. If they start getting games, they might develop into a decent player. And then at the point we're at now, you could argue that this is the best chance anyone's got to get into a Liverpool side from a lower division team or from somewhere like Schalke. But it's just so abnormal that I'd love Liverpool to go and find players around the world that are totally, not being identified before in lower leagues, or pick someone out of the Sunday League or whatever, the Liverpool Sunday League.
Steady on side, steady.
It's just, I just don't know. That. I just don't know whether that's realistic.
And that's a fair point. The reason I'm making that is because I think, listen, I know Villa are in Liverpool's league at the moment, but our dream is to finish in the top 10. That's what this year is about. But I look at Villa and I look at Konza, who's been outstanding. Now I'm not saying
he was great again.
I'm not saying he's a Liverpool centre half by a long shot. But what I'm saying is he's played well for Villa and he's part of the defence that have been excellent this year for Villa. We got him from Charlton, I think it was. And then he signed for Brentford, then we got him from Brentford. I think that's how Dean Smith knows him. But I just think he's been given a good run of games at Villa. He knows what he's good at. He knows what he's not good at. And he's just a really good, solid defender.
Yeah.
And I just wonder whether that's something that other teams might start to look at because of COVID, because they can't go and buy those players. And you're hoping. For me, I'd like to see this Davis do very well at Liverpool. Because
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's all about levels, and Aston Villa's level and the teams down the bottom of the league financially that are not on the same playing field as Liverpool or size of the club or where they're expected to be challenging or who they're going to be playing, Champions League, whatever. You can't take that chance on that unknown centre half.
You have with Davis.
Charlton. We've had to, Darren. We've had to because we couldn't get anybody else in. He said there was no £80 million centre-halves available. He was joking to say, give me 80 million quid for a centre-half. But also, on the other hand, he's saying no one wants to sell their £80 million centre-half.
No, I get that. I get that.
So you just try. I know what you're trying to do there, and it's quite funny watching you.
No, I'm not trying. I'm genuinely.
But really, Liverpool possibly would look at a player from Charlton to be their fourth choice centre half when they've got three fully fit, flying centre halves playing, Van Dijk fit playing, then that's great because you've got that fourth choice there that can come in for the cup game, the League Cup game, to play alongside Van Dijk or Gomez. But you don't go out and say to the Charlton centre half, yeah, we're going to sign you from Charlton and we're expected to run our whole defence because we've got no one at the moment. It's a little bit unfair. So you want to go out and get an established, decent centre half, don't you?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you've got to get established centre half. So Davis is established in the Championship, I'm guessing. But who's the Liverpool have just signed, or is it City have just signed a 16-year-old from somewhere?
Liverpool signed the lad from Derby. Derby are in trouble financially.
Okay.
And they've just signed him. Midfielder or attacking midfielder.
So don't really see this because I'm interested because I was looking at the England under-20s who won the World Cup, Calvin Lewin and all those. I just happened to do some research on that. And I was interested to know how many of those players are now playing in the Premier League because though we talk about there's a block, isn't there, for the top clubs.
Yeah.
And I think out of the 12 or 13 I looked at, I think there was only 4 who are playing in the Premier League now. Calvert-Lewin was one. Konza for Villa actually was another. I didn't know he played. And Henderson, the keeper, was at United. Now I find that an odd one, to be honest with you. And I just the reason I'm saying
wasn't Phil Foden playing as well, Darren? Wasn't he?
I don't know if he was
in
under
that
21s. I don't know if he was under 21s or 20s at the time. I couldn't answer you, Thomas. But I just look and I think it's almost like they get to a level, these lads for under 20s for England, World Cup winners, and they don't go anywhere else.
But you're hitting on the biggest, on probably an issue that we've talked about loads, is that the structure as it is now is not made for players to go through the ranks and switch teams. They either come through like a Foden who comes through at Man City and now will become a stalwart for Man City, or people like who's the guy at Chelsea, Mason Mount, another one who'll come through and he'll become a centre mid for Chelsea for years. But you very rarely see, so we've signed a 16-year-old. I'd argue that you're just getting them at a time when you could still turn them into a Liverpool player and they could potentially be a Liverpool player in the future. But you're more likely that he'll come in and he'll never play for Liverpool, or he'll play for Liverpool in the FA Cup or the League Cup at some stage and he'll never play for them again. He'll go and play somewhere else. We bring in Minamino, who hangs around the team, is not really good enough, doesn't get enough games. Do we really know what he's like? And now he's out at Southampton because they're just, to Thomas's point, they feel the risk is so high that they'll put centre mids who you can rely on at centre half instead of going and getting Ben Davies and what's his first name? The centre half.
I don't know, but I thought it was Ben Davies, to be honest. He's at Tottenham, isn't he?
It's not Ben Davies.
Is it Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. Getting him and
one at Tottenham, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. But getting him and putting him in at centre half straight away, because in theory, you're right. Defensively, he's probably got it nailed. He can defend really well. But if you look at the way Liverpool play and City play and United play when they're playing well, Leicester play on the break, your centre halves have got to be so much more than just good defenders. And I think you could say that about any position on the park, but I just think it's obviously a focus for us at the moment. And that's probably why he drops Henderson and Fabinho in, because what he knows is if he can get them to be disciplined and hold the defence together, he knows that they're going to be able to do what we need them to do going forward. And actually, that was how we won the league. Van Dijk was strong at the back, but he was also brilliant getting us attacking.
Yeah.
Do you think? I don't think you guys rated him, but letting Lovren go so in the summer was a mistake. Like, hindsight's wonderful. I'm just thinking.
It is now. It is now.
Yeah. Well, hindsight's wonderful. We didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't we say, I had to see something the other day saying, how did we sell Danny Ings and keep Origi? I mean,
that's just,
there's decisions that get made around a football club. And I mean, the reason we sold Danny Ings is because we could actually sell Danny Ings. The reason we haven't sold Origi is because we can't drive him to another club. But you've got...
We haven't got a driver, we've mentioned that.
I do think Lovren is now looks like a mistake, but back then looked like decent business, didn't it?
Yeah,
it did. Yeah. It's just a shame, really. It's like just a really disappointing week for Liverpool. Really disappointing. But the thing is, now we've got to get our heads together and our act together, because the pressure's on. There's a lot of teams right round us, all vying for the top four. We've got to guarantee top four football. Yeah. It's a must for us to be able to do anything going forward and compete with these top sides.
Well, Simon, have you got the league there?
I have, yeah. But do you know what I was just going to say, and we'll talk about this in a bit when we look at the other games, but I was watching Burnley and Brighton, and I was sitting there scratching my head thinking, how have we been beaten by both these teams? They were absolutely sure. It was the worst game ever. Well, actually, it was probably not quite as bad as Wolves versus Leicester, but that was a shocking game. And how have we been beaten by both of them? I don't understand. At Anfield? Crazy. So the table, the way it looks now after the game today, obviously there's one more game to go, which is...
Chelsea against Sheffield United.
Yes. Yeah, it is, yeah.
I do some homework for this side, by the way.
Well done, mate. Right now, it's City atop on 50 points. Played 22. Man United are second played 23 on 45 points, so 5 points behind. Leicester played 23 on 43 points, and then Liverpool played 23 and on 40 points. But I think that's the point at which it gets really interesting, because this is our struggle. We've got West Ham, who've played the same amount of games and only a point behind us, which is ridiculous given the quality in the clubs and where you would think we should be. Everton have played 21 games and on 37 points, so could go third or joint third. Tottenham, 22 games on 36 points. And then Chelsea, 22 games on 36 points. And then comes Villa, Dash. Villa, 21 games, 35 points. And then Arsenal, 23 games, 31 points.
We've got the same points as we had last year with 17 games to play.
Crazy, isn't it?
Fabulous.
It's good.
Great for you, Darren.
You know what? It's brilliant buying from the Championship because the lads really want to fight for it.
Yes. Thing is, though, teams from that are generally from the Championship can buy from the Championship, though, can't they?
They can, mate, and that's why we're a top 10 club.
Bargain basement buys, Darren.
Yeah.
I'll remind you of that when we go ahead.
Listen. The way Liverpool have played this week, I reckon we could get a game.
Well, I don't know about me and you could.
Yeah. I don't know. Thomas has scored the last goal any of us scored.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
I'm glad that you reminded me, tear me up a little bit.
All right.
So look at just on the fixtures side. Yeah. We've got Leicester next Saturday, 12:30 kickoff.
We have, yeah.
Then we've got a European game midweek, Leipzig in Hungary, and then I'm sure it's the Merseyside derby the game after.
Yes, it is.
So them two games are huge, absolutely massive going forward. Two teams around us that are vying for top four. We need to close the gap to Leicester, and we need to keep the gap big to Everton. You know, the massive games. Well,
the other thing is if Everton win their two games in hand, then Everton will go 3 points ahead of us. So if we beat them, then we get to a place where we put them.
It also negates that, doesn't it? Yeah, it negates that game in hand, yeah.
But I mean, you know, I think the thing is at the moment, and I guess this is, if you weren't a Liverpool supporter, what you'd be saying is that this season is a really odd season. And look at what's going on with the teams. The teams are all over the place. You can't predict the score. It's really difficult. Or the only thing you can predict right now is City are doing really well and would have won, like, was it 10 games in a row? They haven't been beaten or something.
Yeah.
They're looking really good, and they look like they're running away with it. They're 10 points ahead of Liverpool.
With a game in
without,
I don't even know.
Without a recognised striker.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Jesus came on today, but he looked useless when he came on.
Didn't do much.
But I think that's when you've got players like they've got, you can kind of get away with that. I think if the other teams were doing well, I think they'd struggle because they've dropped loads of points as well. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
But I think if Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal were doing better, I think it would show up. Man City, but this is a really odd season.
Yeah, but I'm surprised City haven't almost got in the market for a striker. Maybe the summer, is Aguero going to be fit? Do you think?
Surely he's gone, isn't he?
He's gone, isn't he? This summer his contract's up, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So this summer is an interesting one because they've got to go out and get a marquee striker for me. But then who's out there that would fill that role?
Yeah, Haaland.
I mean, obviously
they're going for Haaland, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
They are. Chelsea are. Liverpool are. Liverpool.
I know this. I know this lad from Liverpool who scored, one shot, one goal. Young lad.
It hit him on the toe. Didn't mean it. All right, let's look at the other games from the weekend, and because yesterday was a decent crop of games as well. So earlier today, we had Tottenham beat West Brom 2-0. Kane and Son again. Did you watch any of that? I watched the highlights, and it was seemed pretty one-sided to me.
I think I saw a stat saying Sam Allardyce has never been relegated from the Premier League. That will end this season.
I hope so.
Oh yeah.
He's only been relegated once. It was when he was Notts County manager in the old Division 2 or something. But the West Brom have got no chance. He's tried to bring a few load signing in West Brom, and it's not quite worked.
Yeah. To be honest, I seen brilliant thing on our Facebook page today. One of the guys put on, he was on his second cup of gravy.
While watching the match.
I saw a team thing where they had red buses for Mourinho and blue buses for Sam Allardyce. That was the starting 11.
Love it. All right, so then the other game today, which was I watched part of this, but turned it off in the end because it was that boring, was Wolves Leicester.
Yeah, nothing
What
for
a
me.
crap
Wolves,
game that was.
Wolves actually should have won it. Leicester didn't look anything like they have been playing. Vardy came on for the last 10 minutes or something. Nearly scored towards the end, got a header in front of the defence, nearly won it for them in something like 92nd minute. But again, it's without Vardy, they struggle because they haven't got that pace to get beyond other defenders. But you know what? They're still in the hunt. They're still in there for the European spots, and I think it'd be a really interesting game when they play Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As seen as someone was raving about, is it the one your one to watch, Sam? Was it Neto?
Neto, yeah.
Saying how much of a quality footballer he is.
Yeah, he's just decent, good on the ball, and he just puts pressure on defenders all the time.
Basically, it was on I don't know what I was looking on social media, saying he won't be at Wolves next year. One of the biggest sides will be coming in for him. He's that good.
But it's also whether the manager stays as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. It depends how they get on this year. But this year is definitely going to look worse than last year looked for them, isn't it?
Oh,
so
yeah, too right.
And then, yesterday, Daz, was Villa Arsenal 1-0. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was good to see us keep a clean sheet after West Ham came through us. But Martinez, again, better in goal.
Got a great save into the top corner.
Oh, to his left. Yeah. And do you know what? People said that looked easy, but actually, top save.
Yeah.
It did look easy, to be honest. He took 2 steps. I'm too little. I can't play in big goals.
Side only.
And I've got a broken wrist.
But apart from that, he wouldn't have got it. Yeah. But actually, we scored early on in the first couple of minutes. Slight deflection and went in, but you get your luck, I suppose. But what I liked is a marvellous Nacanter,
yeah.
Yeah, played centre mid, and he didn't have Louis on our normal centre midfield player, and he played brilliant. He just broke things up. He's not as creative as Louis, but sometimes he just needs to get in there and just break things up, come forward. Mings had a decent game. I was pleased with that because I'm not his biggest fan. Decent game, and yeah, we got a bit of luck, and you need it in football to win.
Hey, Daz, know that research that you've been doing for the podcast?
Yeah.
Can you do some research into your own players' names?
No, I can't. I'm no good with names. Listen, Peter,
what is it?
This has happened a number of times.
What is it? What is it? Because we'll have a conversation, and no matter when we have a conversation, doesn't matter what player it is, you pronounce their name wrong.
And people think I do for the podcast. I don't. I generally in life, I don't remember names. When I play football, I just go and get number 2.
Mate.
Yeah. It's easier.
I was quite impressed with Traore yesterday, Darren.
Yeah, very good.
That turn on the edge of the box was superb, and then he tried the dink. He could have slotted it into the near post on the floor, and he'd have scored. But I thought, do you know what? He played really well. He works really hard. He leads the line excellently. He's been a good signing for you.
He has, and again, going back to way Villa, the shape of Villa, Barkley for me doesn't offer it in that shape. He can't do the role that's being asked of him. In my opinion, I just think it's too much for him. I think he likes to play the lazy number 10, where he just floats around. He's not, and he just gets the ball and goes in a circle and then passes it to them. But I do think, we talk about where Villa will finish this season. If we get in the top 8, that's a great season for us.
Brilliant.
Really good season, and we can build on that. You attract 1 or 2 more better players to then make an. I'm not saying we're going to be top 6 the following year either, but if you're maintaining a top 8 spot, Wolves have done this quite well, and even Leicester now. Leicester are a top 5 or 6 club. They're always going to be there or thereabouts.
I think you'll do well to. I mean, if you finish in the top 8, I mean that means so you would think at the beginning of the year, if you're calling the top 8 in no particular order, City, United, Leicester, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea, Arsenal.
You'd have put Wolves maybe there?
Wolves maybe.
Yeah.
And then you've got West Ham who are up there, Everton who are up there. I mean, there's the 10 that you would say would probably make your top 10. So if Villa can get anywhere above 10th, I think they've had a great year.
Yeah, totally agree. I think we've had a really good year.
We discussed it
So
yesterday,
it's good.
Dan, didn't we? We're going to look forward to making the trip to Villa Park next season. I'm going to go and watch a game down there and
I'll tell you what I'll do.
properly in person.
I'll bring both of you down. There you go.
I'm in.
I'll take both of you down to Villa Park.
Brilliant. You drive
Obviously,
and you don't drink. How good's that?
Thomas, obviously, I'm not sitting next to you. Just want to clarify that.
Put us a new way in. All right. So at the same time, what are your thoughts on Arteta at Arsenal?
He's a work in progress. I think he's the.
Do you think they'll give him the time though?
Yeah, I think they will. I think given a season or two or 18 months in the job, I think he'll turn things around. There's signs there that the system that he's employing looks quite good. I just think the players are letting him down at times. And the performances, like one, I don't know who's my one to watch, but Thomas Partey, off again injured yesterday. And he's a decent player. I just think if he gets fit and they had a little bit more quality around him, I think Arsenal are just being cheap at the moment and they're playing kids where they need a bit more quality. But I think in 18 months, I think he'll still be in a job and I think he'll do a decent job. I think things are going to improve.
I think the kids are doing quite well. I think where you've got the issues is like some Lacazette, Aubameyang. Those players are letting Arsenal down. The young lads are fighting for each other to try and do something about it. And I think he needs to go and get a centre half because the two he's got at the moment, I don't know if Liverpool have got any to offer him. But I do think you're looking at it, and he got a bit lucky bringing the young lads in when he had to because there was no other choice. And I think they've worked out for him quite well. I think the young lads he'll mould them to what he wants. Aubameyang, Lacazette, who's the guy? Pepe as well, is it?
Yeah. Oh, he's useless. £72 million he paid for him.
That's a steal, that isn't it?
He's useless.
They're just not performing the way they should.
I tell you who I liked watching yesterday. That Odegaard, he moved the ball around really well. He followed his passes. He really put a lot of effort in, and that's it. You should expect players to put a lot of effort in. But he tried to make an impact when he was on the ball. He was trying to get something to happen every time, and I liked that. And I think if he carries on, he could turn out to be a cracking player.
Yeah, do you know? I think with Arteta, if he's trying to build a team of youngsters and they're telling him he's got time, then he's made some good decisions. The problem is more established players have let him down because what you expect is when you bring in those youngsters, you need the more experienced players to carry some of these games through and scrape you to win every so often. And his more experienced players, the ones who are letting them down. Yeah, surely there's a massive problem there, isn't it? They should have shipped him. I know he was on his way out last year, and then he ended up staying. Had a cashed in on him.
Well, the thing was, he was going on a free. I think Simon wasn't he? Was that or a year left on his contract?
I think he had a year left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by signing a new contract, I'd get it in the summer.
Yeah, definitely.
300 grand a week.
Oh my God. Not quite as bad as Ozil. Yeah. Oh my God! Did you see the news on Messi's pay packet?
550 million.
He gets paid $2 million a week.
You're joking.
No, $2 million a week.
Now there's an offshore account, surely.
Oh my God! I mean, no wonder he won't move. No one's paying that kind of money, so he's got to take a pay cut. The question is how far he goes.
Wow.
Because Barcelona look poor at the moment. They're not doing anything this year.
And Suarez has left them, and so
Suarez has left them, and then they're
top of the league, aren't they? Yeah. They've lost the bite, haven't they?
They haven't. They haven't got it, as they lost their bites, lost a set of teeth.
Oh God.
Okay, so then what game did we have then?
Right. So the next game was Burnley-Brighton, which again, as I said earlier, was just a shocker. Lewis Dunk scored a decent header. But other than that, the game was just absolutely crap. They just look poor, both teams.
But they're at the bottom of the league, so that's where.
Yeah.
Brighton. See, the thing is, Brighton sometimes when they play against the top sides, play really good football, and because they're allowed to in many ways. But when they play against Burnley, it's just you get dragged down, don't you? Burnley are just they've been taken over. They need investment. They need to go and buy better players. Are they going to do that in the summer and hopefully get Burnley into a top half
I don't think
team?
so. I think
I don't think
they're
they
probably
are.
happy. They're probably happy just staying in the league, which is making them money, is keeping them as a commercial entity and functioning. But I think that's about it, because they're certainly not ambitious at all. But then again, they came to Anfield and beat Liverpool. It's hard to argue at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, next game was a little bit better, and Thomas's mate did really well. Newcastle beat Southampton 3-2. Southampton were not good, but Newcastle were really good, and Sam Maximin was outstanding.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I seen the last 45, well, the second half, and Newcastle did so well to win that game. They were down to 10 men, had a player sent off, and then they got an injury with 20 minutes to go, but they just held on. And Minamino scored a cracking goal, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a lovely finish. But he'll get games there.
Yeah,
he'll get games at Southampton. This might be what he was crying out for. He'll play every week. He'll play to the end of the season, and then they'll see whether or not he can cut it in the Premiership, and whether or not he's found his level at playing with the likes of Southampton, where he's a bigger fish in a small pond rather than coming to Liverpool. I think we'll soon see. But what a good game!
Yeah. Also, just want to Ward-Prowse again, free kick.
That finish!
Oh.
Oh my God! What a free kick that is!
Do you know what?
But he does it all the time as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I think he's up there with like the top 5 or 10 free kick takers of all time or something. Like the percentage or whatever.
I'd almost be tempted, Daz, to put someone on the line on that post, because he's so accurate. You're not getting across to it.
It's interesting because you would almost, if someone goes on the line, you're inviting the attacker to come and stand in front of it and then run out. They did that a couple of years ago. People were doing that and then running out last minute, and then interesting. But
someone did it and then they scored in the top corner.
Yes, because he ran out. Yeah, because he ran out. But it's interesting because Ward-Prowse has almost been on the fringe of Southampton previous years, never quite made the impact. But this year, he's making a brilliant impact. He's playing to his strengths. He seems to be the one they go to fill in positions. He played them right back the other week against us when him and Grealish were battling each other. And I think he's a great footballer. I think Southampton maybe is level. I'd like to see him in a better side just to see how good he is, because he can spot a pass, he can throw a challenge in. I just think if maybe, I don't know, top 10, top 8 side consistently.
But that rules Villa out then, doesn't it?
Touche. 1-1. Game on.
He's been waiting for that, right?
He has been waiting for that.
So I think you could build Southampton into a top 10 team, though. I mean, they've got the basics. They've got a decent forward. They've got a decent setup. They apparently have got a decent youth system as well. But they're just not there. They're just not doing it at the moment, and they don't look as good as they did earlier on in the season as well, where they look much better. So I don't know where they're going for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be a tough run-in for them. Okay, next game was another snore fest. Fulham versus West Ham 0-0. I watched some of this as well, and the football was shocking. I
had to turn it off in the end. It got to me.
It was like a Sunday league game. It was not good at all. Neither team looked good, but again, you've got teams there that are doing well in other games. Like West Ham have been doing really well. Yeah, they're in the top 10, and they look like they're going to stay there.
What about that sending off?
Oh, sure.
Never a sending off. Never a sending off.
But there's been a few of them, hasn't there?
Yeah. Mike Deaney's useless though, isn't he?
But it's just, that's what VAR's for. And yet they still give it as a sending off. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I hope it gets rescinded quite quickly. But there's arguments on Twitter at the moment whether officials should be coming out after the games and talking to the Sky or whoever's doing the show for just to answer some of the questions, to clear things up. The other thing is, I've seen a clip in, I think it was Australia today, that the refs are mic'd up, and when they go to VAR, you can hear the conversation between VAR and the referee, so it clears up any issues. What the fans or the coaches are having that conversation, you can hear. That's
I
another
see-
interesting
Can't
one.
see it happening. Can't
I
see.
think
Go on.
I think we should start a petition the FA to get rid of VAR. It's shit. Let's get rid of it. We'll start it here, and then we'll grow a community, and we'll storm London's FA headquarters.
Hang on. We're not going down the road of Trump here, are we? Storming buildings and stuff. That's not what we're here for, Thomas.
We'll build a wall around the FA.
Yeah, we don't support you in that, Thomas. If you're storming any buildings, we're not going with you. I do think there's a massive problem there. I think they know there's a problem now, and I think you'll see changes in the summer. But I think I'm pretty confident that what you won't find is that referees are coming out after the game. I just think they've got no. We've been talking about that for years in some of these terrible decisions that they've made themselves. Never happened. I just don't think that is something that they'll go towards, because I think it'll cause too much trouble.
Yeah.
All right. The other game was a cracker. Man United Everton 3-0 at United. Thought Calvert-Lewin did well at the end. Although at first I thought it was a handball, but he took it down really well on his chest. Great touch past the Gea. Fernandes scored an absolute whopper. That was a great goal.
He did. That was a great way he got pulled back and then he's put it over.
Yeah.
What was interesting though was United were in control first off. Everton were awful, and there was that ball on. The commentator brought it up to Richarlison all the time in the first half, and Everton kept getting it, looking up and playing it sideways or backwards, and you could see people Ancelotti getting frustrated, because that's obviously a tactic they worked on. Everton got back in the game because of, I think, a mistake by the goalkeeper, De Gea. I think he made a mistake. He came out and he sort of parried the ball, not quite good enough. He should have done something better with it. That gave everyone the front foot straight after half time. They got onto it, got that goal. And even the second goal, again, you could argue errors. And then United got back into the game again. McTominay scored the third goal.
Yeah,
and
then
then suddenly,
let's talk about that header, because Pickford should absolutely have saved that.
He shouldn't have, because he wasn't on the pitch.
Oh, it was, what's his name?
Simon, that's so harsh. Have you forgot the name, Simon? Have you forgot the name?
I can't believe I've just done that.
Do not stop that recording and start again, because I know you'll edit that.
All right, I won't clip it out just for you. But he definitely should have saved it anyway. He looked like he's taken Pickford's dinosaur arms. Yeah, it was not good, that. I mean, a decent header, but absolutely should have saved it.
Oh, without a doubt. And then for Everton, then it meant so much to me seeing after when they got the goal. Ferguson celebrating on the sideline, and Ancelotti saying, "Just calm down, wait for VAR." It's sad that we have to do that and wait for VAR. But you know what? 3-3, decent game to have on a Saturday night. But Everton again they need to pick up the tempo of games. They're not taking enough risks going forward and playing the balls in the channels where they've got players who can run.
Yeah, they and James Rodriguez scored as well.
Yeah, good finish.
Decent goal.
Good finish. Yeah.
How do you feel about the late night kickoff, the 8 o'clock kickoff
Don't
on
like
Saturday?
it. It's movie night. What are you doing? Watching footy at 8 o'clock? It's either movie night or get drunk night.
So basically, I'm made up. The football's on. I think it's great now because we're in a lockdown, and you can watch the football. But I don't want to see it being a permanent thing. I don't like the Friday night one either, to be honest with you.
See, now I love Friday night football.
I like the Friday.
Friday night football is brilliant. I love the way they present the show, them turning out in the jeans. I love the fact that there's never anything decent to watch on a Friday night. And if you haven't gone out for a pint, Friday night football is perfect. Saturday night football, I'm not overly keen, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think it's great. Don't forget though, Darren's old. And
yeah.
He's old. He's actually old, but also in his head, he's about 20 years older. He likes it to be the same. He likes it to be like when Jimmy Hill did it.
Hey, listen, the problem I have with the Friday Saturday night football is I watch the first half, do my Ovaltine, and I'm off to bed. So I very much missed the second half.
Yeah.
I know you're not joking.
The good thing is that I don't know why, so I don't watch a massive amount of telly, and I certainly don't watch telly generally on a Saturday night. But obviously, recently I put the telly on a bit more, and on a Saturday night, this like things on like The Voice or something.
Yeah, Max Singer.
I don't even know what it was this week, but I know it was singing. It was either The Voice or something like that. I mean, what? So if it's that, or it's watching footy on a Saturday night, I'll take footy at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Darren,
yeah.
Darren, that is a show made for you.
Which the Masked Singer?
The Masked Singer. Darren could actually go on it because obviously you're in a mask. Made for telly.
Do you know what?
Made for telly.
Simon, we're never doing a podcast again when Liverpool get beat. He's a nightmare to work with.
To be fair, you set yourself up there. You were horrible. Okay, so then the only other result was, which we haven't talked about, was Tottenham Chelsea on Thursday night. Chelsea won 1-0. We talked about it on the live on yesterday morning, but I think that is Chelsea now potentially getting a little bit back into the groove, because I think actually Tottenham have done well again this weekend. That's a really good win for Chelsea.
I think it's a good win if they win tonight as well. It gets that momentum.
Yeah.
You know, what you don't want is to win one, lose one, draw one. You need momentum going forward. He needs to get a settled side pretty quickly. I think that was one of Frank's issues. He didn't really know his best 11. He kept swapping, changing formation. You know, what you want is the new coach to come in. Nobody wants.
What's his name?
Tuchel. Was it close?
Yeah, it's very good.
Well done. You remember.
Thanks.
But if they win tonight, they win tonight, they go 5th.
Do you know what I mean? And I just think he needs to come in there, say, this is the formation we're playing. This is it. Let's get on with it. You swap and change formations all the time. And Frank, unfortunately, that was his worst downfall.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right. So fixtures coming up are Chelsea, Sheffield United tonight, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Monday Night Football. That could be a decent game. I think Leeds will batter them. That's at Leeds as well. Then next week, it's Leicester, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Man City, Tottenham, Brighton, Aston Villa, Southampton, Wolves, West Brom, Man United, Arsenal, Leeds, and Everton, Fulham. And then on the Monday, it's West Ham, Sheffield United, Chelsea versus Newcastle. Some decent games
and
there.
Of course, Simon, next Sunday is obviously Valentine's Day, or as I like to call it, Sunday. You two be very romantic with your wives.
Back, aren't they? Can you imagine? It's all for romance.
Romance is dead, Darren, in this house.
All right, so let's talk about some comments that we've had on Facebook. So we're getting really good interaction still on Facebook, and in fact, it's really picked up. We did a live on Saturday morning it was 11 o'clock we started yesterday, and the interaction was brilliant. So we had loads of people on, and everyone was firing in comments and everything, which was brilliant. But we got some good stuff back. Dean Booth, who is a weekly contributor, which we like. The only podcast that laughs in the face of adultery. I don't know what we said on the last podcast, but that was how we started it.
I blame Thomas.
Yeah, love the wall of hate, and Fat Frank deserves everything he gets. Really enjoyed this episode, especially listening to Liverpool fans fume.
He's going to love this one.
Yeah, but then he made this comment after we'd won two in a row. So he said, only gone and won two since then. Keep it up. He really enjoys it. And then one of our biggest contributors on the live was Andy Newton. And he said, start of the season, if you offered me 4th place, he's a Man United fan, finish, I'd have bitten your hand off. Now feels like we're doing enough to deserve that. Cavani made a big difference lately. We talked yesterday on the live about the difference that Cavani's made, because he's changed the way United are playing, because he's stretching the game, giving their midfield a bit more space, and playing on the shoulder of the last man. It scored again over the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah. He also gives them a focus point. So when you look up, he's there. You can see him and you can aim for him and you can play him, and he holds the ball up well. His movement in the box is fantastic. He uses all his experience to get in front or behind and shifts defenders around. I like him. I think he's a really good player.
Yeah, did well. And then the Penguin is back, obviously.
He's back.
Johnny Pollock. He sent this out just after we'd been beaten by Brighton. Pretty dull morning out there. Hope it brightens up later. Don't you think, Thomas Morris?
I didn't give a response.
I think it was a little bit harsh, but if you go on our Facebook page now, Thomas is getting an awful lot of crap.
Really?
Yeah. It's the usual suspects. And then I seen another one, which was an absolute cracker on the Facebook page. Dan Watson put up Harry Maguire and Ricky Gervais playing Derek.
Yes, I saw that. Maguire's hair was forward, wasn't it?
Oh my God, he's the spitting image of him.
Yeah,
it was brilliant. But we've had loads of good interaction on Facebook. Let's keep that going. The good thing is that, as you've said before, people are just having conversations without us actually kicking it off, which is brilliant. But what we're going to do is we've got a couple of new segments kicking off in the next couple of weeks. One of them is about people getting involved, people who listen on a regular basis. And what we'd like you to do is record a video asking a question, and then we will play it as part of the podcast, and we'll answer as many as we possibly can. So here we go, Daz. Let's see if people like a camera.
That's it. People think this is easy, and it's not.
Just make it look easy. That's
the prep that goes into this is unbelievable.
Yeah, we know names.
What prep?
yeah. I think that speaks volumes.
To be honest, I've got bad heartburn because I've rushed that chicken fried rice.
So the plan will be record your video any way you want. Well, let's keep it clean, and then send it in, and we will answer the question on the podcast.
So are they going to send it to the email site?
Yeah, so I'll send it out. I'll put it out on
Okay.
Facebook later on, but we can do it via Facebook, private message, WhatsApp, whatever it may be. We'll have to go on the different platforms because not everyone's got any one of the platforms. So we've got some people on Twitter who don't have Facebook, some people on YouTube who have no idea about Facebook and Twitter. So we'll just let them all know, see what we can get in, and then we'll get answering people's questions live, which will be a good laugh. And then the other one that we're going to start, and we'll start this on the next podcast, and I can't wait for this, is a bit of word association with Thomas. So what we're going to do is me and Dan are going to come up with a number of words or names, whatever it may be, and Thomas has to respond with one word.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to ask him to keep it clean, but that
Only one word.
Only one word.
Yeah.
That's going to be dead hard, isn't it?
Exactly. But you've got to do it immediately.
Yeah, and we're not going to tell you or prep you.
No.
Okay. So can we give it a trial run?
Man United.
Privately.
I'm allowed to swear?
No? Well, I mean...
Okay, I've got it. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Chelsea.
Oh.
I know what you want to say.
I fucking hate Chelsea.
That's not one word.
Frank Lampard.
Sacked.
Sam Allardyce.
Cabbage.
Cabbage.
You got a cabbage head?
Steve Bruce.
Lovely.
He's your guilty pleasure, isn't he?
I think he does a decent job with not a lot of money.
All right, you have to get defensive.
You've just asked me a
He
question.
got defensive then. He got defensive.
You only got one word. You can't get defensive. That's not the way it works. So yeah, we'll kick that off next week. So me and Daz will prep a little bit, and then we'll see how you get on live.
Oh,
and we have 60 seconds, 60 seconds to do as many as we can.
Get as many as we can. Can't wait. And we'll also take some suggestions there as well. So if anyone's got anything they want us to say to Thomas as part of the word association, we'll see what comes in. We could get some absolute crackers there. Imagine McCusker. Imagine Sean McCusker giving us some suggestions.
And Sean's watching this now because he's just had a baby boy, Patrick.
Oh, excellent.
So, weighing in at £9. My dad got confused though it was 9 stone.
That's a big baby, that has.
That's a big baby. He signed him up for the South already.
That's
so,
congratulations. He's his third, isn't it?
Second, but he doesn't want the third one because that's with someone else.
Yeah, he's a good lad. We like Sean. I can't wait to get him back down to the footy when we start again.
Yeah, I can't. At least you get to run on the pitch and get away from him.
Yeah, leaves us alone for a little bit. All right, Thomas. Let's get to the part of the show that got the most feedback after the last podcast about Fat Frank. Everyone loved that. Everyone appears to dislike Chelsea. I don't think we've got any Chelsea. Oh no, we have actually. We've got one Chelsea fan who's on the Facebook group who every so often gives me crap because I used to work with him. And I'm sure I will get some off him later. But everyone seems to agree that Frank deserved everything he got. So let's see who you've got today. Who are you mostly hating this week?
Well, I should be hating Everton to do with Man City, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And Liverpool's performance today, but I wasn't prepared for that. So this week, I'm not focusing on a player or a manager. This week, I'm focusing on a broadcaster. Someone who pours out more crap than a sewage farm. He likes to be controversial just to get people to phone his show, and they're usually idiots. This week, I'm mostly hating the broadcaster, Adrian Durham from TalkSport. I hate him. He's a full-on helmet. Adrian Durham started out his career in Leeds, working on the Team Talk telephone service. Basically, he was football's equivalent to a call girl. He joined TalkSport in 1999 and currently hosts the Drive programme on weekdays with various hosts, but usually Darren Goff, who's actually quite good. He's a self-appointed only celebrity Peterborough fan. I'm not sure that's something to brag about, though, because Peterborough is shit. The best way he's been described was by The Guardian, who said he is an expert phone-in troll. A phone-in troll. Arrogantly spouting inflammatory football opinions in the hope of prompting some indignant phone rant rage from uppity fans. He epitomises what society has become. A little man, a little ginger man as well, hiding behind his keyboard and phone, speaking more lies than a Boris Johnson press conference. Adrian Durham took it a step too far on many occasions, but on this one occasion, because he called my mate and Liverpool legend Jamie Carragher a bottler for retiring from international football. He thought that there wouldn't be any comeback from his spineless, thoughtless comments. But then Carragher phoned them up live on the show and offered them out. He said, I'll come down there and I'll be out, which was absolutely brilliant. But he hadn't learned his lesson. He had a popper Celtics manager, Neil Lennon. But this time, Lennon didn't call in to defend him, but rather than the music legend and icon that is massive Celtic fan, Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart phoned up Adrian Durham live on TalkSport and gave him a tongue lashing. Brilliant. I'm sure it wasn't the first and it won't be the last lashing he gets, and he probably enjoys it. Yeah. He's a proper grimp. His next diarrhea moment was when he said Dennis Bergkamp was not in the top 5 Dutch players to play in the Premier League. Are you having a giraffe? This prompted Martin Keown to ask, does Durham know anything about football, or does he just want to be controversial? Durham's argument was that Bergkamp had never won a Champions League. So was Adrian Durham saying that Steven Gerrard wasn't a world-class player because he never won the Premier League? The man is an utter and complete muppet. At least, but certainly not least, or at last, and not least, whatever it's wrote here. He had a ridiculous rant about Liverpool Football Club and Klopp being arrogant for not sorting out their defence. He's trying to tell me, one of the best managers around, how to pick his team. You know, how to do it, who to pick. This man couldn't pick out a flower from a florist. Oh, that's awful, that one. So for being full of shit, I'm making a career out of phone-in trolling. For trying to be controversial without any substance. And looking like a kid from a 70s advertisement with his stupid haircut and his little ginger comb over. Adrian Durham, you are on my wall of hate.
So let's just pull you up on a couple of things there, all right? So
No, we don't pull me up on anything. That's it. Rant's over.
The ginger comment. I'm gonna phone Rach as soon as we finish here and tell her.
Go on.
And all of the rest of the family that are ginger. Let's see how you like it then.
Simon, he's had his chicken and rice now. He doesn't care.
And then the last bit, you've just been talking about preparing, Darren. What can you do?
I know. At least, but not last.
Yeah. Pick out a flower from a florist.
That was awful, that one.
It's your own fault for telling Darren's jokes. You've got to leave those bad jokes to Darren because they don't go down well when it's you.
Yeah. And also read before you come on, baby.
I love it. We just pulled back the curtain, does?
Yeah, we have the fourth wall.
Or broken the fourth wall. That one, yeah.
Yeah. Breck.
All right, so yeah, I do particularly dislike him, and he has had some decent people on with him, but he is an idiot.
Yeah, he just does that. Every show, he does something to throw that fishing line out to see if we can get on the hook, and you get absolute idiots, or they are people that are pretending to be idiots to come on and just say stupid stuff. Honestly, it's car crash radio.
But a lot of them like that. You've got Chris Sutton is a bit like that. He's an idiot as well. I don't like him. Yeah. Robbie Savage did it for a while. Actually, don't mind Robbie Savage, but he did a similar thing. You got Alan Brazil, who was an idiot as well, doing the same kind of thing. There's loads of them, isn't there?
Yeah, and the thing is, though, these phone-ins, they have to be like that. Otherwise, you don't get the people getting angry to phone in. Even Chris Sutton and Adrian Dunham had a row on Twitter that got carried over into the studio. And the thing is, I know of one or two radio shows locally who have the mates phone in to say something to then get other people irate. And I'm sure that still happens on places like TalkSport because they want that idiot to come on and make those stupid comments.
Well, the thing is, Thomas is our controversy, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, Darren the way he's been acting today.
yeah. He's caused loads of trouble.
I can't come on and start agreeing. It's boring.
You've lost points today. Whatever happens, you've lost points. I don't know what points they are.
I don't know, but I tell you what, I'm fighting relegation.
So, Daz, tell us about that poster that's over your shoulder there.
This is a gift off one of our followers, a fan of mine, actually, who tells me I'm the only one who speaks sense on this podcast. And it's a good friend of mine, someone who I think's in the know, let down by his son quite a lot, and he tells me this all the time, and his son-in-law. It's off Joe Grant, who's your dad and your father-in-law.
My old fella bought us all a poster. I don't think he quite understood the size of this poster behind me. That what he's done is not going to cover that up. Although it was brilliant. I had a conversation with him, and he's like, he said, part of your head gets blurred out when I'm looking at it. So I opens it up on my iPad, and I'm like, where? He's like, there, can you not see the blur? I'm like, no, I can't see no blur. It's like, it does. You've got no ear. I'm like, well, there's me ear. What are you talking about? Yeah, but he was determined that it blurs out.
I can't tell you what I said it was.
Yeah, you be very careful.
Yeah.
But, no, that was very nice of him. He bought us. I
think it's brilliant. Yeah,
bought us all a poster.
Really good.
Bought us all the same one. That was very nice of him. Now we're going to have to put it up somewhere, aren't we? Thomas, I'm expecting you to put it up in your front room.
Yeah, all right.
No, in his new bedroom.
Let us know when you're going to do it so we can come round and watch you tell Rachel.
Well, if anyone wants a signed 3 Men and a Football poster, we're going to give it away this week.
Be our first giveaway. Signed 3 Men and a Football poster.
But we're not going to get Darren to sign it because we don't want to lose its value.
Oh, genius. I love it.
Can I just say, Joe, at least I put mine up.
Yeah.
Well done, Darren.
At least I put mine up.
You're like a real son.
You know what's happening here? Freshly painted walls.
You know what's happening here, don't you?
Yeah.
Because Jeff has disowned Darren and he's put a load of people in his place. Yeah. He's trying to muscle in.
Yeah.
I'm now the fifth son.
Yeah.
We've got 3 kids.
All right, so before we finish off, any final thoughts, Daz?
I'm liking the way the top 4 is changing every week because people are playing 1 or 2 games. I think it's exciting. I think it makes for a more interesting Premier League. Fingers crossed, we may continue and hopefully Villa finish in the top 8. That's the drive.
A little bit. Thomas?
I'm just wondering if anyone's going to need rum. I drank a bottle of rum last night. And and I was feeling a bit rough this morning, but after watching Liverpool there, I think I want to open another bottle of rum and just crack on again. But that's my final thought.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a great week. I actually thought that we could do City today, and it would have made things a lot tighter at the top. I'm convinced now it's City's league to lose. I definitely don't think Liverpool will catch them. I think we'll get better as the season goes on. I think this is a blip. I hope all the Klopp haters don't come out this week and start calling for him to go or saying he doesn't know what he's doing again. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's a blip.
They're not proper fans.
No, it's a blip. We're struggling. We need to support the team. I also think that it's okay to question what's going on. It's okay to not be happy and not be happy with the way they're playing, and to talk about what we need to do to fix it. I see a lot of people, giving crap to others that are saying, it's not good or it's not good enough. We should be able to question. That's what football's all about. That's why we do this, because we like to talk about it. But it's definitely going to be an interesting run in between now and the end of the year. I think that top four is all to play for from probably 8 to 9 teams. And right now, I don't think you can call it other than I think City will be at the top. Hopefully, United will go backwards sometime soon and Everton won't catch us up. So, there's not much to hope for. And Villa will finish. From that. Now, and I always wanted Villa to finish in the top half, but I don't know. After today's performance, Daz, I think you've let yourself down.
I want them to go down so they get more players from Charlton.
We're going to come and buy Consa. All right, so...
do a great job for you, by the way.
Yeah. Don't forget to visit the website at www.3menoffootball.com. We put all the videos up on there and there's some other stuff there as well. I'm going to put some pictures up this week of the charity game we had just before Christmas, which was for the Ben Williams charity, and also put some pictures up of the Miles for Mick campaign that ran at the end of last year as well. They'll be on the website. Download the podcast from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. It's everywhere you want it. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to talk about. And let's get involved in these new segments as well. Send us your videos in with questions, anything you want us to talk about, whether it be a subject that we can get through in a couple of minutes or something that we can take a full podcast talking about. We're happy to. And we'll be back at some point later this week. All right, Daz, Thomas.
Take care, guys.
Have a good one.
See you later.
See you later.